Well, it's expensive to me, but it might not be expensive to them.
I don't understand. Okay, Therese, I need you to change my vehicle and you have 1 minute and 54 seconds. Go.
All right, everybody. Gosh, this is like of the first blog banter I've been on in like a long time. People might be thinking I might be like, I don't know,
Missing in
away.
action.
Yeah,
Maybe they
missing.
thought that I showed up and then put you in a box and wouldn't let you back out.
I'm really the artist formerly known as Stephen Harrington. What is it? We've never seen Superman and Stephen Harrington in the same room. How do you know? No.
Ooh.
Well, we are joined here today by the dream team here. We've got Stephen Harrington and Therese Potter, all joined here to talk about the wonderful wide world of endorsements. Dun, dun, dun.
And checklist.
Yeah, the checklist. So many of you know us already if you're a longtime listener of podcast, but this is a time where we break down one of our blogs and we kind of talk it out about all of our different experiences. I want to throw out this thing that I feel very strongly about, and I still think agencies struggle with it. And I know every agency runs differently, and both of the agencies you guys came from, I think, would have different points of view on this. So just going to throw it out there. There's this idea that when we change something on a client's policy, like we should take the time and review it all. Like it's a change, it's a difference. And I find that in so many agencies, they want to like do it as fast as humanly possible, like fast, 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 fast. And when we do checklists, like the thing, and I have to fix my face a lot. Like I'm an agent, I have to fix my face because they're like, can it get to one page? Can the checklist be one page? I'm like, why does it need to be one page? What is this one page obsession? Like, if we get it on one page, it's better for the customer. Like, I'm unclear digitally why one page. I remember the past, when you had like print stuff, but we don't do that anymore. That's my struggle and frustration. I think sometimes when we work with agencies is this right versus fast. And I wanted to open it up to my fearless team here to talk about right versus fast when clients are changing things. So what's you guys?
I have a comment.
Please provide it.
Okay, cool. So I think that like the checklist thing is amazing, especially when it's something you do all the time. And the reason for that is like an auto change. Like it's something that's common. We think it should be fast. We do them all the time, but that's where the checklist is the best, right? Because we know how to do it in our head. And that's when we miss things. It's the complicated thing that we normally have to really sit down and think about that we take the time to be like, and then I have to do this and this. But if I already know what I'm doing and I'm flying through it, that's where the things get missed.
Yes.
Well, and I work really, really fast all the time, and I speak Spanish, so that makes me even go faster because when you speak Spanish, it's a fast language. So I would use that as my excuse. Oh, I'm talking really fast because I speak Spanish. It's just an excuse. I would make that as an excuse, but I would go fast through things, and then you'd realize stuff that you missed, and then you'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that. So yeah, it's definitely really important to slow down because that's where claims and E&O comes in.
I forgot I had a microphone.
Well, that's exciting.
I know. I don't use it that often. That's the thing. I should probably switch over. Yeah, I think it's also like we fly all the time, right? And so I kind of like the fact that a pilot gets on an airplane with a checklist, even if they've been flying for 30 years to make sure the plane is okay. Because and I'll be completely dead honest with you. What Stephen said about the checklist, I think we get the most pushback on endorsement checklists from the veteran staff. They don't need it. It's below them. They don't think they need it. And I always say like, girl, guy, whoever you are, at 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon, I can barely spell my name. So if you think that you don't need it when you're changing someone's vehicle and they're getting divorced and the garaging address is different and there's gap coverage and there's this and there's that, like, are you kidding me? I can't remember all the questions to ask on Thursday at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Well, and if you're so used to doing it so well and so fast, then just mark the boxes that it as you do it, right?
Ooh.
Ah!
Fact. So let's talk about the whole idea, like people like just use a vehicle change, right? Because that's commercial, that's personal lines, all of the stuff. Like I can't get into a world where we're like not confirming email address. Where would you like the auto ID card sent? Like I can't get into a world where we don't ask like, okay, is this the garaging address? Do you want this? Do you want that? We ask like the bare minimum that we need to change the vehicle on the carrier website. We don't ask what we need to do a great job for the client. And then later on, people are like upset because they didn't have rental car reimbursement and they thought that they did. Well, we just changed the vehicle a year ago. Why didn't we talk about it then?
a lot of times too, I think we forget about like some carriers offer the mileage discount, or in commercial, you have to know mileage. Like, what is the radius? So are we asking or are we guessing?
Well, and during COVID, the pandemic, a lot of people changed from driving to and from work to working from home. And were we asking that question? We weren't. And it was a great question and a great way to save people money on their insurance. The insurance companies may not agree with that because they would lose money, but I mean, technically, we want the client file to be as accurate as possible.
I 100% agree. And pushback we also get when we talk about an endorsement process, which we have this beautiful checklist in our top 10 core 10 processes every agency needs course, shameless plug, dun, dun, dun. And when we're going through the motions, how often does a client call in for service? Yes, you have your frequent flyers, but the good clients that most of our clients want calls in once every 2.8 years. So if we don't do it then, we're going to wait. We're going to have like almost like a 5.5, 6 year process before we talk again. Instead, we're just going to change the vehicle and hope for the best as opposed to do the best job for the client.
And I think if you're using a checklist, it helps you sound smarter and provides a better like value to the customer as well, right? If you're trying to build that relationship and you're like, cool, so what about this coverage? And this coverage does this. It's kind of a reminder to have those conversations and be an advisor to the customer.
But Stephen, they're at the car dealership and they don't want to talk to us that much.
I can tell you when they go to finance, the lovely finance man is going to have about 745 questions for them. It's not going to hurt for us to ask our 7 or 8.
Well, and they're probably waiting at the car dealership for 2 hours anyway. What's going to hurt waiting a little bit more? But yeah, we don't hear from those clients. And I think there's a conception or an assumption that, oh yeah, we talk to them all the time. But we're not looking at the notes or checking the notes to see if we have really called them or talked to them recently. And we're not taking advantage of having them on the phone. You've got them on the phone. Take advantage of it and ask all those questions.
Not only do you have them on the phone, but they also need you. And they don't have this, this is what I love. They don't have this stopwatch on you. Like, okay, Therese, I need you to change my vehicle and you have 1 minute and 54 seconds. Go. They just want their vehicle change and they want to feel special. And by the way, everybody else has kissed their butt, right? You go to buy a car. There's a lot of butt kissing. There's a lot of like, you look amazing in that car. Oh my gosh. Like, wow, look at this. You'd be so great. Why don't you buy a car today?
There's also sometimes insurance agents inside the lot now waiting to write the policy when you can't provide a spectacular time for the client.
Yeah. And then we don't have all the discounts. So then the second component of this is, and I want to hear what you guys think, because I love and value all of your smart opinions. I also find that we get them off the phone fast because we don't want to practice first call resolution, right? So we jot down this information. Sometimes we have to call them back because we can't read our own handwriting or we forgot questions that we need for that carrier, right? Okay, fine. But then we also don't tell people the premium change if we can. Like I go get a new car and you give me, okay, great, awesome. I'll change the vehicle. And I'm like, cool. I'm not an insurance person. I'm a nurse or I'm a florist or I sell Build-A-Bears. I don't know, whatever I do with my life. And then I get it in the mail. I'm like, what happened? And I think that we should be practicing first call resolution and educating people on their new monthly premium right there on the spot in that moment so that there's no surprises via the mail in 3 weeks.
No, and I definitely think if you change a vehicle out and there's a price change, tell them the monthly price change and divide it by the amount of months that they have left instead of making it complicated. And because then they'll call back and they'll be like, well, you told me this amount. You got to first say it's an estimated amount. Second of all, you've got to let them know that it's divided in the months that are left and give them a monthly amount. Don't give them the big chunk because you give them the big chunk and they'll be going shopping tomorrow.
100%. But we see a lot of times where 30 days after someone changes the vehicle, the policy cancels because they get their new car payment and they get their insurance. No one knew. And then they buy it, right?
Yeah, they pick the payment instead of the car insurance to pay.
I would love to hear what other tips and tricks have you guys used on the endorsement side of things?
I like the endorsement checklist or the idea of it too, because some carriers, like an umbrella is part of another policy. So like even just having as part of the checklist, like is an umbrella part of the home? Is an umbrella part of the auto? Like, do we need to update this? Because a lot of times we forget to update the umbrella or that supplemental line that is still affected by the policy. Or we go through and we'll update the address on the one policy, but not the other 7.
That's smart.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's because we're in a hurry just trying to get it done, right? Like somebody moved, great. So we write them a new homeowner's policy and we change the address. But did we update the auto and the boat and the motorcycle and the renters and the life and the health and everything else? Probably not.
Well, and what about when they go from a small sedan to a larger minivan or a suburban and their rental car coverage stays that lower amount, then you don't put that higher rental coverage on and then they have an accident and they can't get the size car they need for their family.
Or they have a couple vehicles and they sell one and now they're down to just one vehicle per person and we don't ask for rental car reimbursement because they always had an extra vehicle. Now they don't. Now they don't. Now they don't. And then I'm just going to say this as we talk about because we're on the vehicle, we're on the auto train today. What is the deal with everybody being so skeptical about the driving apps, right? And I have this very strong opinion on driving apps that it is not my choice. It is my job to educate and allow that person to make the choice that is best for them. But I can tell you almost 80% of our clients don't talk about it. And if somebody goes to Progressive or Geico, gets a quote, they're getting quoted with it and they're getting their clock cleaned. And then everyone's like, I don't understand. And that's just my Friday afternoon voice. So what do you guys think?
I love the vehicle app things, the discount, because I saved money. And in my opinion, they should have surcharged me, but that carrier offered a guaranteed 2% discount. So what did I have to lose, right? Great, now you know how I drive, and yet you still renewed my policy. Thank you.
And if I understand it correctly, the carriers normally don't charge you extra or raise your price because of your driving habit. They will lower it if you qualify. So, I mean, my 22-year-old son did it and saved 15%. He called me and he's like, Mom, oh my gosh, I just downloaded the app and this is how much I saved. And it went from this to this. And I'm like, that is excellent. Make sure you tell more people about it. But I think there's a thing about Big Brother. They're so afraid that somebody's tracking them. And newsflash, if you have one of these, you're already being tracked. So
and almost all newer cars today,
they're tracked too.
It tracked and if you have Sirius radio, you're being tracked because you're on satellites, pinging off of satellites. And I think that insurance people by nature don't trust the companies to do what they say they're going to do. So we don't like to provide it. We don't want to be tech support, right? Well, then they're going to call me and they don't know how to download it. And we don't know how to explain it. So by nature, we're going to avoid that, but we're going to let everybody know how upset we are that rates are increasing. And we're not going to give people options because we wouldn't do it ourselves. I think that's selfish.
Well, and it's the assumption that when you offer a policy to somebody, oh my gosh, this is expensive. Well, it's expensive to me, but it might not be expensive to them. We've got to stop assuming, and we've got to offer the clients all the endorsements or talk to them about all the endorsements because there may be something there that they need.
I agree. And there's also discounts. So there's the upside and then there's the downside, right? There could be discounts that people are missing. Maybe they got a new roof. Maybe they got a security system. Maybe they've got AAA and we don't know about it. And if we don't do it when we're going to go change the vehicle, when will we know about it? Oh, we would know if they were doing renewal reviews. But that's a different month and a different topic because right now we're just talking about endorsement process. So let's bottom line it for our loyal listeners. You guys have both worked in large agencies with lots of people. I'd love to hear from each one of you. Number one tip to agency leadership on endorsement process.
You should check it before they wreck it.
You have so many little rhymey things. Every now and again, I'll be with Steven and he just bops out a rhyme of and I'm just okay, you're like a walking jingle some days.
I don't even know where they come from. They just come out.
Check it before we wreck it. Okay, there we go. Therese, if you could top that.
I can't top that, but I can say, think about processes and procedures. It's easier if everybody is doing it the same way. So you have to come up with processes and procedures on how you want your agency to run. Don't let your staff tell you how to run it. You need to come up with processes and procedures. Now, don't get me wrong. Your staff could have great ideas on how to run it. So you may want to ask for those ideas, but in the end, there has to be one process and procedure that you use for endorsement that helps make it not so complicated for everybody, and then check behind them and make sure they're following it.
Agree with everything Therese said. And I think this also goes into your values of how you want to run your business. If you want to run your business coverage based, then a one-page quick and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am endorsement is not, you're violating your own values. You're saying one thing and doing another thing. When your team goes ahead and says, I need it on one page, you have to think that they're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about the coverage of the client. And it's your job as the leader to keep enforcing the fact that we're not here to make our lives easier. We're here to protect that person on the other end of the phone that doesn't know about insurance, that is asked for a local independent agent to get their back and protect them. And if we want to be Geico, we want to be Progressive, where people can just call in or text in an endorsement. Amen. But that's what you're doing when you don't go ahead and do the right job and do the full thing. So that's our 2 cents. We all have to go to another meeting now. This was fun on a Friday afternoon. Next time we'll do cocktails.
Yay!
All right, guys, go check out our new course on endorsements and 10. It's just not, there's also all sorts of ones. So, Stephen, what are some of the other ones you're working on for the process pack, the process course?
I'm working on a great claims process,
Ooh,
EFT process,
ooh.
and a mystery process.
I
I can't remember what it is.
What are you working on?
I am working on file documentation and proof of insurance.
All right. And I know I'm working on a renewal process and probably a remarket process. And I got some and Heath's got some. So you have to check it out. If you need a process Bible, this is it. Go there. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.